brain cloning, brain heterodyning is the actual word, which means modulation of other brain signals within yours. So it's almost like two people are living in the same head. The person's brain print, their particular energy signature, just like a thumbprint or something like that, needs to be collected before the long process of retraining the brain to listen to another human being's brain or a computer.
Okay, so there's a process sensor system, so then it's recording that person's data, and that person, the link is being established so that person's brain is sort of getting acclimated, maybe unconsciously, to...
Very good. I like that word, acclimated. Yes,
okay, and then over time, the distance, once the target's energy signature is figured out, then it can be
distance, yes, it's irrelevant almost anywhere on planet Earth. Anywhere on planet Earth.
And I imagine you were talking about brain reading just a minute ago. I imagine that over time, it would become more easy to read, or easier to read an individual's brain, because their brain patterns would correspond to particular thoughts. Is that...
You got it. Once your vocabulary is mapped out, well, then they can put it on the automated mode, what are called chatterboxes, something that I worked on, to keep the human being talking in perpetuation, basically to a machine, thinking it's a real human being. And they do this to scale, automate a lot of the degradation in the torture process, the breaking down of the will, but as well as you need this to keep the lock on of the signal. I mean, if you break the signal in some fashion, music, for example, can do that temporarily, but your brain always goes back to its natural patterns, and so they got you. Once they have your brain patterns matched, they got you. You can't escape that very easily. So they're cataloging and classifying brain patterns, which can be transformed and transmitted into other human beings. So they're testing that as well. This is all done through the brain. It's the brain's reaction to these tortures that they're applying back to them. We call it no-touch torture, and so the assumption for most human beings, well, if I don't see blood or mutilation, it can't be that bad. Well, what the brain perceives is far worse than that. In fact, the pains are amplified, sensitized, and are extremely vulnerable to these circuits being stimulated. You got to remember, this is called offensive information warfare technology. So it's beyond that to hyper game theory, and a professor at Dartmouth has a paper published. People like to understand the mathematics of that. And it's the basic gist of it is to see, how do you make someone walk down a certain path? So you're playing a chess game, a multi-dimensional chess game. How do you make a rational player walk them to their death, or walk them into jail, or commit a crime?